Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Unity Spiritual Center, Pflugerville. And we're talking today about, well, the conversation I had in the newsletter this week was you are a miracle, and you're here to share that idea. So I was thinking about it. I was looking at a couple of it this morning, and if you stop and think about what happened to you this morning, anybody agree you got up and you had to make a decision to be here? Really, you did. So, and then you had to, whatever you had to do. But you got in a car, and do you understand that driving from where you live to here is a miracle that you got here? I mean, take a look at the world out there. Okay, yeah, it is. Some of you came from a far piece, right? 30, 40 miles. And through that, what are the possibilities of all the things that could have happened? And you understand the world is always talking about the things that could have happened rather than what is happening. And that's what I want to talk about, was the difference between the spiritual context and the world's context on life. Because there are miracles every day. One of the things that's got me started on miracles, just to be honest with you, is me. Because I'm a miracle, folks. You are looking at a miracle. Some of you were with me back in January. I remember that prayer circle. Do you remember? Anybody? Those of you that were there.
Yeah.
And I barely remember seeing you. I had been in ICU for 10 days at that point. They were keeping me alive. Do you hear that term? And as a matter of fact, they had, what do they call it? Balloon angioplasty? Beating my heart. And I'm here. And do you understand the miracle that is? I want to cry. Because your prayers and your work and your community and your energy supported that healing, that I'm here and I've got a lot more to do in life. Because we're going to build that church down there, and we are making a community of believers that are on a spiritual path making a difference. Because energy begets energy. And there's enough negative energy out in the world, yes? So we are a center of light, creating God's energy here. Now, God's energy is always present under all conditions, but we can choose to bring it into the world, and that's what we're going to be talking about. But the main thing I want you to get is you are a miracle. How many of you, I don't want you to raise your hands or anything, but how many of you can acknowledge that you've had miracles in your life? And if you just stop and think about the little things, even the idea of conception and birth is a miracle. And everything we're faced with is a miracle. And we forget that. How many of you have been through a healing of some sort? Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. This group, we have a tradition, by the way. We please want to know if you're going to go in the hospital, if you're going to do surgery. Because we make it a point to be there with you and pray you in. Yes? We've got a couple of prayings coming in, by the way. They don't want you to know that. But Tommy's October 21st, we got to pray him in. Because he's going to be in the hospital. And then Valerie's going to get some work done, November 5th. So we got to be there now. Now that's 6 o'clock in the morning. But there's a commitment to supporting each other in love. Knowing that miracles come out of commitment and intentions in life. So you're all miracles. But I'm still thinking about all the traffic you came through to get here. So thank you for the miracles and driving carefully. But who's to know that maybe it wasn't just God guiding you in the drive here? Because God is everywhere present. There's an energy for good in the universe that's constantly working in our eyes, and that's good. Now, I'm going to pull my notes out because I'm going to try to stay on track today, okay? The thing that really got me thinking about it, honestly, was my healing. Our other daughter came in to visit us this week from Phoenix. And she was with us for a day or two. And suddenly I realized she hadn't seen me since ICU, hospital room. And was like, honey, there's been so much has happened. Here I am. And it was like, I'm getting teared up. Because the miracle of life continues on and on and on. And each one of you has a story to tell. Now, the problem is there's a world out there is skeptical. They don't believe that these things can happen. However, and when you start accumulating these ideas, it's like me. You can't tell me that there isn't a God that's going to take care of me day to day. Because I've been there, done that. You are in the same thing. We call it consciousness. Every time you take another step and things work out for you, that's another hurdle toward, yes, I know God is good. I know things are good. I know that I'm taken care of. It's called trust and faith. And you're not just doing blind faith, you're doing substantiated faith because you are growing in consciousness. The problem is we have miracles every day and we don't look at them. We don't really take them in and understand them. And the idea behind this whole thing is it's up to us to be aware of that. Now, got to go in the Bible, yes. And those of you who haven't been with me before, we work with George Lance's translation of the Bible, which is, for all we know, from the original transcripts. But Romans 12, now, honestly, I've had, and Madeline will tell you, I've been skeptical of Paul for years. But I'm starting to understand that guy might have had it together, okay? So I'm starting to read Paul, okay? And I was reading Romans 12. And in Romans 12, he is talking to the church in Rome. And here's what he said. It's very interesting. And what he's saying is, how do you live a life that works? Anybody interested in that idea? Yeah. Okay, and it's an idea based upon spiritual context. So he says, chapter 12, and I'm going to start with verse 2. Do not imitate the way of this world. So don't do what they tell you to do out there. Now, anybody agree? You're being told what to do all the time. Okay? And it says, be transformed by the renewing of your minds. In other words, you've got to rethink things. Now, part of that is being told, don't get your hopes up, boy. Don't expect too much. You're always going to have a problem. And all this negative thinking. And so we are wired into that, hardwired in our brain. And the idea is to renew the mind. So I'm going to say it again. But do not imitate the way of the world, but be transformed by renewing your mind, that you may discern that which is good and acceptable and the perfect will of God. And so the big question is, what is the perfect will of God? Well, as far as I know, God the promises is the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. So anything you want is yours. It's the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. It's the Father's good pleasure to work and to take care of us. It says in the Sermon on the Mount, don't worry. Don't be anxious. It said, the little birds fly around. And if the Father's taking care of the birds, why doesn't he take care of you? So just maybe it's the beliefs we've established. So by the renewing of our mind, we're going back to the original intention from Genesis. In Genesis 1:31, it said, and God saw that everything he created was good, which means everything in your life is good. And you've been sold a bill of goods that it isn't. Okay? So it's we keep going back to this idea all the time. Then it goes on and says, for I say through the grace which is given to me to all of you, not to think of yourself beyond what you ought to think. In other words, you're a child of God. And what would you think anything other than you are God's perfection? And it goes on. This whole thing, I'm not going to read the whole thing. You can say thank God, but anyway. And having their gifts differing according to the grace that is given to us, some have the gift of prophecy and some have different gifts. So here's a very, very, very important thing. We have been trained to compare ourselves with other people. In other words, I like his haircut. I wish my hair was long. But I can't grow hair anymore. Now, if I allow that to affect me, what happens?
You old.
Probably lose more hair. Because what you think about, you create. So if I'm upset about not having hair, I create more not hair. So each of us have been given gifts. Part of Larry's gift is that cotton picking guitar. He does a great job. He's also one of the guys that started the internet X number of years ago. So Larry's gifts, and Valerie has her gifts, and Madeline and Bruce, we all have our individual gifts. But my gift cannot be Bruce's gift. And if I look and say I'm not good enough to be what Bruce does, I'm actually diminishing my miracles. Because my miracle is, I guess, being able to talk and being able to love and being able to take. I really am a nut about helping people understand the simple ideas. Because today's world, I think we get things so complicated. Do you understand that the New Thought community creates all kinds of gobbledygook? Okay? And there's all kinds of cul-de-sacs out there to get caught in. Okay? We've been through tarot and everything else. But the main interest is, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So by the renewing of your mind, you can change where it's happening in your life. Now, what's interesting to me is that there's another verse, and this was another verse that came to me, because I remember reading this before. I wondered, what does it mean? And this is in Matthew 5:37. And some of you have heard this. And Matthew 5:37 says, when I find it, but let your words be yes, yes, and no, no, for anything which adds to these is a deception. So let your words be yes, yes. Now, I'm going to use words. Are you ready for these words? Yes. Love, trust, peace, bliss, health, prosperity. What are some other words? Come on, what are they? Grace. Wisdom. Praise. Appreciation.
Strength.
Say it again.
Strength.
Should I bring that one up?
It's up to you.
We'll talk about that one. Anyway, strength. So now you're curious what I'm going to do with that one. But anyway, the idea behind it is those are yes, yes words. Yes, yes. Now, what kind of words is the world out there using? No. Words like hate, anger, fear, manipulation, division, separation, disgrace, hatred, victim.
Sorrow.
Now, what kind of energy do those words have in them? They are the lower, and I want to talk about frequency. They are the lower energies at the lower end of the spectrum, and they create lower energy things. Okay? And up here, these yes words create what? The things of God. The things of life that you're looking for. Now, does it matter what context you use the words in? In other words, if you don't like a political person, we all feel completely justified to hate them. But what does that do for us? So it's a simple process, folks. It's so simple. And it says here, use yes, yes. And I haven't gotten to no words yet, but I can get there in a minute. So when we're using yes, yes words, we're creating yes, yes in our own life. Okay? It's really fascinating to me. I've been looking at the language. Language is important. And slang, by the way, has a very interesting conversation. And I all of a sudden came up with this word called woke. But I didn't understand what it meant in the context. But woke is you're awake enough that you agree with me and what I think I should be doing. In other words, I shouldn't be upset with you, or I shouldn't. So all of a sudden I'm finding that we're using spiritual words in a negative way. So it's like, wow, how far have we come in our culture to use spiritual words in a reverse way? So here we are now, yes, yes. So what are some other yes words? Let's do it again. Love,
Power.
power,
Joy,
joy,
grace,
grace,
Happiness.
happiness,
Compassion.
compassion. I love that word, okay?
Contentment.
Yeah, forgiveness, yes. There's a good one, huh? And see, it goes on and on and on. So by their fruits ye shall know them. And again, we go back to, see, to me, what Jesus was, I'm starting to understand how simple his words were and how realistic they are in today's world. That if you want to be happy, be happy. Think happy things, speak happy things. And we have been so trained. It amazes me how I get caught up and all of a sudden I'm angry at somebody. Okay? Some of you have family members that will trigger us right away. I have a few. All I have to do is call them on the phone and I'm into it, okay? And it's forgiving myself. And maybe the key to it is preparing myself before I call to love only love. So all I'm sharing with you is now the word, it says no, no. And no, no in the unity ideas is called denials. In other words, no, it's not no, no, it's actually I release. It's the releasing of, which is a metaphysical idea, which I'll talk about on Sunday mornings. But the idea is no, no, I'm not going there. I'm not going to think that. So this is yes, yes. This no, no is those things that I divert that I won't go to. In other words, I won't criticize or condemn or complain about anything, because when I do that, I'm creating that energy in my life. So, excuse me first, okay? Well, I guess I need more room up here. The idea is this. There are subtle energies for good in the universe. The idea of quantum physics is there's an energy everywhere present, and as we think, we use that energy. So we are actually creating our world with every thought we have. And if you stop and think about it, the words that we speak come from the thoughts we think, usually come from the feelings that we have. So again, when you get those three together, if I start using only yes, yes words, I'm going to be talking about this from now on, because yes, yes means God's words, and we're creating a frequency at a higher level of being. So as we create the higher energies in life, life becomes easier for us. We might not have the traffic problems. Anybody ever been stuck in traffic? Have you ever worried about being stuck in traffic but not been stuck in traffic? So these little miracles are occurring all the time. And the reason I keep bringing that up is it's a consciousness. It's a consciousness that we build slowly, one step at a time. So we get to the point where we're in trust and faith that it's okay. It's like we've had people come and go in our church that have had a hard time believing that we're going to build that church without debt. Hello? Everybody take a deep breath. Okay? Now, I believe we're going to do it. And we have a board that believes it. We do. And you see, my belief is that that takes a huge amount of trust and faith. Why? However, because the world is saying, oh, you can't do it that way. You got to do this, you got to do that. But the truth is, we know that God is, the energies of God are everywhere present, and as we think those energies into being, things occur. So it's having a faith, it's having a consciousness that we are one together. And together that energy is created, and as the energy, and we call it, we're starting to look at, we're going to start looking at heart convergence, which is some of the ideas of getting the heart and mind in convergence. And so when I'm in that state of being, my heart rhythm actually change. And what's interesting is when they study a group, if 2 or 3 people in that group are in a heart convergence, the whole group goes into convergence. So folks, that's where we are here, because you're a miracle, I'm a miracle, and we are together expressing miracles every day of our life. And I encourage you to be who you are, to express that miracle that you are. And I'm really thankful for the miracle that you are and that we are and that we're creating together. There's really not too much else to say. It is good. Okay? But I love you dearly because love is the basic energy of the universe that transforms things. And it's just an energy of trust and faith that all is well. And God is in charge, and here we are. Blessings. I love you.
Thank you, Robert.